the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is create our bullets. I think we should create our bullets. Now, once we create our bullets, we're going to need to actually create a list to accept all of those bullets that get created. And once we have a list of all the bullets that are created, we'll be able to deal with each of those bullets in a for loop, if I can put it that way. So let's go ahead and create the bullet class. I think that's fairly simple enough to do and quick and easy, and we can get it done quickly. Class bullet. Okay, we're not doing any sort of inheritance or anything like that. We're just creating a straightforward little bullet. So we're going to go with our dunder method, dunder init self. We are going to pass it the coords of the player character when we fire the bullet. We're going to need to know the starting point of the bullet, and then we're also going to need to know the direction that bullet should be traveling in, and that we will also get from the player character, which is fantastic. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is create the size of the bullet. I think the self.width equals 4, but self.height equals 4. So it's like a little square. It worked out quite nicely. It's a decent sized bullet. And yeah. So the next next attribute, we need the position of the bullet, which will be our vector 2. And then coords position 0 and coords position 1. Next we'll need is our self.direction, which will be equal to vector 2, direction 0, direction 1. Okay. Our velocity will be self.velocity vector 2. Okay, and our self.speed, we're going to be running at 10. All right, this is a quick and easy one. The next one we're going to pull in is we're going to do the draw method. We're going to have 3 methods in this class. We're going to have a draw method, a move method, and then we'll also need a method to check if the bullets have left the screen. That one we can do last. Let's do the move method first. No, let's do the draw method first. Draw. We need the window argument. Okay. So we have the draw. Draws the bullet to the screen. Okay, we're going to draw the bullet to the screen. It's straightforward. We're just drawing a little rectangle. So we're going to pygame.draw.rect. Alright. I'm going to draw it onto the window. It's going to be a white bullet. It's going to be a self.pos, which is my X position, my Y position, my width of the square, and my height of the square. Alright, so there we go. That's drawing a rectangle to the screen. The next thing we do is once we've created that draw of the rectangle, we actually need to create a rect image, a rectangle around that square, because we use that rectangle for collision detection. So when Pygame makes use of, you get the image and then you create a rectangle around that image. And you can do a lot of things with that rectangle. You use that rectangle for collision detection. So we also need to make sure that we create that under the draw method. So our self.bullet rect is equal to pygame.rect, big letter. And it's going to be an integer self.pos square 0. Int self.pos. The reason for it being converted to an integer is because there might be fractions because of the diagonal angles that the bullets can travel. and there could be floating points inside there, and the X and Y doesn't work really in floating points. It's self.width, self.height. I don't know exactly why I was running into issues with this. I just found that if I converted those to integers, I didn't have any issues anymore. So we're running with that. Okay, so now we've created the draw method for the bullet. I need to go up to my game windows handling for drawing the bullets to the screen. Once I create the bullets, I have to add the bullets to a bullet list. Alright, let me go ahead and create that bullet list first. So go down to my game object lists. Let's call it player bullets is equal to an empty list. Alright. Okay. I've got my bullet class, I've got the draw method. Let's just go ahead and create the move method while we're here. Draw diff move. Diff move. Okay, we don't need any arguments for that. The move method is updating the position of the bullet. That's pretty much actually very straightforward. It just goes with self.pos is plus equals self.direction multiplied by self.speed. So if my direction is 1, 1, which would be down and to the right, times 10. So I'd be going down 10, right 10, down 10, right 10 at the same time, all the time. So that's my self.move, self.drawn. So two things I need to do now is I need to actually handle the movement of the bullet, and I need to call the bullet. Okay, firstly we need to actually call the bullet. So let's call the bullet. And in order to call the bullets, I'll go down to my main game loop, my event handling, and so here I could include the spacebar here. Okay, I'm going to use the spacebar to shoot. If we put in the spacebar here under this handling input section, I could just hold in the spacebar and spam bullets like there's no tomorrow. But remember earlier I spoke to you, I said if we've included under this event handler, each key down is what counts as a press. And then you have to release the key and push it again, release the key, push it again in order for it to accept any input. So we want to go back to this one and we want to continue with that. We want to go if event.key is equal to Pygame.spacebar space. We then want to call a bullet and we want to add it to my bullet list. So we're going to go player bullets dot append. We're going to call a bullet, and if you remember, we created two arguments for creating a bullet class. It's the coordinates and the direction. The coordinates is exactly where my spaceship is, so we want to call it from the player dot pos, and then my direction is going to be my player dot direction. So whichever the direction is that my player is facing, that's the direction the bullet needs to travel in. So if I go to the game now, I'm not calling the draw method anyway, so we still won't see the bullets. Hey, doesn't really help much anything, do it? Okay, so we've got the player bullets. We've added the bullets, we've added the bullet to the player bullets game list. All right. So here under updating game object movements, we still need to go in and move those bullets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in this little section. I'm going to go for index, and then bullet in player bullets. We need to use the enumerate function. Alright. For bullet and enumerate. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to call the bullet.move function. So for each bullet that gets added to the player bullets list, it's going to go cycle through that player bullets list and it's going to call the bullet.move function method on each one of those inside there. Alright, I'm just going to add a comment here for myself. Cycle through each of the bullet objects. Call the move method. Okay. So now we've just dealt with the movement of the bullet, but we still are not drawing the bullet to the screen, and we're not going to see anything. So let's go up here to our game window updating. Under game window updating, we are going to add a for loop over here. So we're going to go for bullet in player bullets. For bullet in player bullets, we're just going to go with bullet.draw. Okay, the argument we need to pass is the surface, which is the game screen. Cool. Let's just add a small little comment there. It's going to say drawing the bullets to the screen. Alright, so let's give this a run now. What we should be seeing is my spaceship. I can move around. Happy days. But if I, this is the moment of truth. If we hit the space bar, there's a bullet. 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 Oh, it's the little things that make us happy. It's the little things. We have a bullet. Bullets, bullets, bullets. Look at that. We do have a problem though. And I think let me just let me show it to you rather than try and describe it, because describing it's not always the easiest thing to do. So we have the player bullets. I'm going to go ahead and call. I'm going to print our bullet list. Print player bullets list. So if we move this out the way a little bit, you'll see here there's a list that's being printed constantly. It's an empty list. If I fire a bullet, there's now a bullet object in my list. And even though my bullet is off the screen, that bullet still exists in my list. That object is now traveling for miles and miles and miles. And if I keep firing bullets, now my list gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's a problem. Because eventually we're going to have so many bullets for the amount of times we have to shoot asteroids and missing that it's just going to slow the game down. So we need to include a method in our bullet function. Or we need to include a function or a method that checks for the position of the bullet. And if it's off the screen, the bullet needs to be removed. I went ahead and created that bullet function as a method of the bullet function, of the bullet class. There's other ways to do it. I just felt like doing it this way. I went under def, check, if off screen. Alright, and it's really straightforward. Let's just add a little comment here. Checks to see if the object is off the screen. Alright, and all it does is we're going to go with if self.pos position x is less than 0, or if self.pos x is greater than the screen width, or self.pos y is less than 0, or self.pos y is greater than screen height. So if the position x is less than 0, or if position x is greater than the screen width, or if position y is less than 0, or if position y is greater than the screen height, we're just going to say return true, because it checks to see if it's off screen. So if it is off screen, it returns true. Alright, where did I call this? That makes sense. Over here under my move, under my player, my bullets, my move, my for loop for my bullets movements. Over there, I went and added a little section Now we can say check to see if the bullet object is off screen. Okay. So I said if bullet dot check if off screen. Yes, I just realized now that that if I'm making use of that, that's just it's just a thing that Python programmer uses that's supposed to indicate that it's a hidden method and it shouldn't be shown publicly, or it should only be used within the class itself and not out in the open like this. Yeah, I'm just going to change that to there and just change that. Now it can still be a method, it's not indicating anything, I'm just using it there. Check if the bullet is off the screen. If bullet.check is off screen. So if it returns as true, then we go ahead and we delete player bullets index. And we break the cycle. Do we want to break the circle? No, we don't want to break it. So we go here with play. Alright, we're still printing the player bullets list. If we shoot there, back to 0. Back to 0. See all the objects, and then the object gets removed. Yeah, it works. And the bullets are being removed from the game. So that's fantastic. We can go down to the bottom here. We can stop printing that player bullets list. And there we are. We now have a bullets class. We have bullets. They're shooting. We have a ship. One thing we didn't check is if we move the ship, where do the bullets shoot from? Okay, as you can see, the bullets are being fired from the middle, which is actually okay. It's not too bad. It does become a bit of an issue if we're rotating the ship, because the bullets are being fired out of the center of the ship. I'm going to live with that. Let's move. What happens if we move? Oh. No, it's working fine. She's working fine. The way we have it set up also does mean that we can actually move faster than our bullets. But then we're going to crash. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. Fantastic. We've created the bullets class. We've created the race spaceship class. We're moving along quite well here, actually.